I don't think I can remember the last day that I wasn't feeling some kind of physical pain.
What really amazes me is Pam's spirit. She keeps on going.
I have a lot of determination. I kind of gut it out, and I've been that way since I was a kid. I have a form of muscular dystrophy, which affects just a series of muscles in my arms and my lower legs. What it means is that the nerves aren't sending messages to the muscles, and the muscles begin to atrophy. And there's nerve pain frequently, fairly frequently. Lost muscle control and muscle tone, of course. The older I get, the less control I have. It's a genetic disorder and apparently a dominant gene. Two of my sisters and my mother suffered from the disease. It's been passed on to a couple of my nieces. So we support Jerry's Kids and the MDA telethon and research, and hope that one of these days there'll be a cure. The disease is just a part of life, and like I said, my family and I were so accustomed to it. Maybe we learned stoicism from my mom. My mom never complained. I'm not a complainer. I think I tend to be a kind of let's tough it out. I tend to be a little stoical. And unless somebody asks, I don't usually say anything about it. I'm a little reserved and hesitant to ask for any kind of consideration for it. I have to admit, the older I get, the more there's a kind of need for that, and for me to ask for a certain kind of mouse or a little relief from grading papers, and some consideration in like location of my classroom and how far I walk.
Pam and I have been married 5 years. I just knew that she was the right person for us, for me.
I should say that at 30 I was actually called to be single. So there was a period of time in my life when singleness was God's first and best plan for Pam. I consider Steve coming into my life, God just being sweet to Pam. Something that I know Steve had to think about before we got married. He was very aware of the potential of what could happen. And I know there was a question he had to ask himself, gee, is this something I can do? Can I take care of someone like this who ends up in this kind of physical shape?
We talked about it while we were still dating, and it wasn't an issue for me. It wasn't that important. It was, I knew God would take care of us no matter what.
No, he's a loving, compassionate soul, and very sweetly, yes, of course I'll take care of you. I am tempted to worry about the future, and my mom spent the last 10 years of her life in a wheelchair. It doesn't define me. Certainly it has, having it has shaped me, has shaped my life. I feel pain and I know that I'm limited, but it's easy for me to then go to, yes, but I have 2 hands and 2 feet, 2 legs, and they're still functioning right now, and hopefully will continue to function for quite a number of years yet.
She's amazing, always thinking of the other person first, regardless of how she's feeling. She doesn't like to show the pain. She's a tough cookie.
Yeah, I could choose to be bitter, but we get to choose how we respond. We can choose to be bitter, and we can be hard and inflexible. We can choose to be apathetic and then be rather useless to God, or we can choose to be pliable. We can choose to trust God. We can choose to learn from this. We can choose to see what value there is in this for us. We can choose to make it part of our discipleship. I have to believe that He's in control even when all this stuff that's happening with me doesn't make sense. And I have to accept that He's God and I'm not. the part of me that wants to make sense of things and have some kind of a neat, well, okay, I can look back and see how that happened and why that was worthwhile. I think it's important for me to just look at him and say, you're God, I'm not. You don't owe me an explanation. I think too often we think we've got to have an explanation, and if we can have an explanation, then it's okay to experience pain. Then we can say, oh, well, God had his hand in it. Well, God has his hand in it regardless of whether we can make sense of it or not. Suffering has helped me understand grace. And I wouldn't trade that for anything.